Excuses, excuses, excuses. We are diving into that topic today. Are you not having the success you want? Could it be that you are making too many excuses? This is a little bit of tough love today. Hang in there. We're going to walk you through the power of making excuses and not making excuses and headed towards success. Hey everybody, welcome to another Kristen and Charlie chat. And yes, we warned you in the intro, this is a little bit of, well, Charlie's here. It's a lot of bit of tough love today. Excuses, excuses. I know you're probably sitting there saying, I don't make excuses for the fact that I'm not doing the things that I wanted to be doing. It's the world's problem. It's the pandemic problem. It's everything except my problem. Well, we're here to dive into that today to help you figure out that fine line between making an excuse, blaming somebody else. Is the barrier that's in my way really a barrier, or what's happening here? Listen, how about this? George Washington Carver said, 99% of failure comes from people making excuses. So look, it is not just us. It is not just you. This is a massive issue. Well, let's dive into this today and see how we can take some baby steps away from making excuses and into designing the lives of our dreams. What do you think, Charlie?
The past few videos you've done, you've kind of threw in the beginning, there might be some tough love in this one. And then you throw it in my lap. Well, Charlie's here.
I'm the hugger. Charlie's the one that's like, okay, look, this is how it's going to go.
As you think, so shall you be. And we become, or I become, but we as humans become what we think about all day long. And that's Ralph Waldo Emerson. So, okay, that's cool. I become what I think about all day long. And so let me think about that. And it's like, what are we talking about here? We're talking about, do I find myself making excuses for maybe showing up? I'm late. I can't now. Something else came up. I don't know, but what's the reason? The reason most times is an excuse. Why didn't I follow through on something I told I was going to do? That usually something came up. So I'll just give a few quick examples. So if I'm going to work out, I say I work out Monday, Wednesday, Friday in the mornings. And on Wednesday I don't. That's tomorrow. And and maybe my daughter, oh, Dad, how was your workout this morning? My daughter might ask me, and I didn't get to do it. I ran out of time. Oh, okay. And that might be accepted by most people, but in my home it isn't. So it's like I ran out of time. So that's my excuse. I ran out of time. No, if I'm honest, I look and I go, something became more important than working out. Or I had the excuse of I'm a little sore, or I can do it later. Or so I find that I made an excuse and I didn't do it, and I just moved on. So is that okay? I guess. Sometimes excuses affect other people, and they only tolerate that for so long. But in the long run, even the excuses, like, say, I don't tell anybody I'm going to do something, but I tell myself and my calendar even, and I still don't follow through. Maybe nobody knows, but I know. And I think over time that slowly beats you down a little. It could be today I'm going here, I'm doing that and this and that. And, just all these reasons, this story crops up why I couldn't. And I just received a text and said, I thought I was going to get more free time, but here's the reason I can't do what I said I already committed to. School, this and the kids and all that. Now I get it. It's busy. But the last time I looked, I don't know who's handing out free time and what that even is. I understand that we as people have the power to choose how we invest the time in our life. It's the one thing that we can't get more of or get free of. You know what I mean? You can't get free time. Like there's 24 hours in a day. There aren't days that they add 30. Now tomorrow we get 36 hours, so I got a little free time. No, that's not the thing. So there's no such thing as free time. There's only time on a 24-hour day, and we choose how we are going to live that 24 hours. No one does it for us. But some of us have excuses and reasons why we do put the blame outside of us and say, the reason I'm late is because. And the reason I didn't do this, the reason, and it's a story, but in the truth of it is, it's an excuse. And excuses crop up blaming others for my failing, complaining. There was this, there was that reason. The line at the store was too long. I had to get out of there. I hear it a lot. I ran out of time. I just didn't have the time. Well, yes, you did. We all have time, right? I mean, it's your mind that did that, not time. So, excuse me. I took years ago. I was doing that. I would rush into work. I didn't want people to notice if I was a little late because I was the owner. I missed a meeting here or there, or I realized that life was living me. Like I didn't know how to control the way I showed up. So I made excuses because I felt there was so much going on, and I couldn't seem to show up for everything the way I was supposed to. The way, as someone who stays committed and follows a calendar or understands the importance of investing time wisely, working with others, all that kind of stuff, I just was off course big time.
I think you hit a really big point on the head there. What happened with me in terms of I got sick and tired of making excuses. It's time. It's all about that element of time. I had to start realizing, I had to start putting other principles in play to avoid the pain I was feeling from making excuses. And I'll just talk about in terms of overextending myself and being late to places or to meetings or to whatever. What I realized is the big thing that happened was I got sick and tired of using so much mental creative space in my head to come up with a reason or an excuse to people that I was late, or really it was my daughter that was the turning point for this, because my Carissa is I call her painfully prompt, but she's actually intentionally early with everything because she wants to make sure that in case something happens, she's built in some time, and she's just wired that way. And I was causing her so much stress. I didn't even realize I was doing this. I was causing her so much stress when she was wondering if I was going to be somewhere on time for her before she was able to drive and have control over it. I was really adding to the stress that she already had in her life from other things. So then I was backing up from that, instead of having to tell her this big story about, well, this phone call came in and then the dogs did this and I had it. And I thought that it doesn't matter to her what the story is if my arm fell off. Her thing is, I need you here on time. I need you to be reliable. So I'm like, all right, I'm getting sick and tired of this. So let's back up. What was I doing? What could I take responsibility and control of? I was loading on way too many things in a day. I was way underestimating the time it was going to take me to do something. And then when I finally started trimming those things down, the final piece was I had to add a buffer in. That's what I realized Carissa was doing. I had to add buffers before and after my commitments so that in case something did happen that I didn't expect, that it went over or whatever, I had that time built in. And I got to tell you, Charlie, once I started managing my life and my calendar and my time better like that, the mental capacity that it freed up, not having to worry about you know, what excuse I was going to make, or whether I could, you know, beat the actual ETA on Waze for where I was going. It was unbelievable how much mental energy I freed up with that. But I will also say that if other people are in the same boat, apparently it is a huge thing in this world to be living like that, where you're over scheduling, you're not putting in buffers, you know, we're doing all these things and then late, because there's a big thing on Instagram right now. It just makes me laugh every morning when I see somebody else doing it, and it's videos of people like Giphies or strange videos of people like racing through town and race cars going down the street, and it says, everyone has the caption of, "This is me, you know, at 8:15 trying to get to the office by 8 and thinking I'm going to make it," right? It's like, you know, we could sit and laugh about that. But when I kept doing that and living that way, it was so unhealthy, I didn't realize it. But it's like we were talking in Thriving Blind Academy yesterday. That whole thing about growth comes when you're sick and tired of yourself. And that's where I had to get.
Yeah, and another great benefit for you was too, I can only imagine, is you became more present. You were now starting to enjoy what you were doing. It wasn't the have to start going away. I don't have to do all this stuff. I'm choosing to be a maniac today. And, we've conditioned it. It's like, what does air conditioning do? It conditions the air to be more comfortable. What does conditioning do in our brain? It sets us up. We start just habitually going like that. And it can be on the exact other side. It can be, I'm overwhelmed. I have too much, and I'm filled. I have some depression, and I don't want to do anything. So I make excuses why I'm not taking action to do anything. So there's two sides of that, and what I guess what we're trying to get to is balance of some sort, and take a look at that calendar, and say, how can I best, because our roles are not just to serve ourselves and get a lot done and feel good. I mean, our roles are to be a maximum service, to be here, to be on time for our kids and show up and be a power of example. I mean, I could have wrote a book on excuses. They came to me because I had conditioned my mind. I was very angry. I was diagnosed at a young age with an eye disease. Legally blind at 13. Now I know all the reasons I'm not going to succeed. I'm not going to be able to do homework like everyone else in the same manner. Everything's going to be harder for me. And I mean, the list. So now when anything came, I wasn't able to get that homework done last night. Well, okay, but it was due today. I know, but I'm legally blind, and I was really struggling to see it. I don't know, and the good teachers in those days I thought were good would give me a pass or let me help you with that. Let's just keep moving you along. The bad teachers, as I saw them back then, said, I don't care if you're legally blind. That was due today. You figure out a way to get that stuff done. It's not my problem. And I was like, I don't like you. But those are the teachers that actually impacted me and helped me as a person, the ones that enabled me and did for me what I really could do for myself. They didn't believe the story of the excuse-making machine I had become. They could see right through that. So that's what happens if you just find yourself. And why? When does this happen? Well, we all are born into families, and we didn't get to choose them. And the first 7 years of the human brain is critical. And so if we're blind in those first 7 years, and maybe born with a little sight, but whatever the case may be, parents, there is not many great books on exactly how to raise sighted, healthy children. Okay, that's done by doing. But let's add in a disability. Blindness, low vision, legal blindness, whatever. Well, I don't know how to deal with that. And there aren't any places to, dial 411. Remember we used to call information?
Yeah. Remember those days?
Yeah. Woo! And it costs money. Anyway, there was nowhere for my parents raising 4 out of 6 children who are legally blind. They didn't have a rule book, a guidebook. Of course, you and I see that problem, and we built the Thriving Blind Academy to help with that. But what they didn't do was do for us what we could do for ourselves. They did not like excuses. Why didn't I do that? My dad, I could not have an excuse for the things. Hey, could you make sure you get the lawn done by the weekend? It had to be done. So I learned with certain authority, and there was no way I could do excuses, but I also knew all the ones I could and get away with it. But I wasn't conditioned that way. I did it to myself. But there are many children that come out of families that parents, oh, don't do that, or they make excuses at school for their child, or they make excuses with their friends and other people and relatives, and that kid hears that, and then they say, oh, that's how you do it. You know what I mean? So it's conditioning too. This isn't like you're a bad person, or you don't have courage, or you're weak, or your blindness. Because the first excuse that we don't allow in the academy is it's because I'm blind. Oh, no. That is not it. It can't be a disease in your eye that is stunting your growth in life. And of course, unless you smoke. But anyway, it's not a disease. I thought it was, but I realized, no, it was the thinking. It was the conditioning of my mind. It was the excuse making, the beliefs, the low self-esteem. It was the guy I had worked my way into that, like you, I got sick and tired of being sick and tired, trying to cover it up, trying to pretend it's okay. How you doing? I'm fine. That was a lie. I'm not fine, but nobody can help me. They don't understand. I mean, come on. So I just got fed up with that. And what do? We take 100% responsibility. We have the ability to respond to the outcomes in the way we live our life, right? And once we do that, we realize, wait a minute, I'm going to stop blame throwing. I don't want to complain, because complaining tells me that I have a reference point of something better, right? So if I complain about my lawn, I keep saying that's terrible. I understand that there's something I can do to make it better, but I'm not willing to do the work. And then I complain about it. And just one other quick thing about complaining is that if I come home from work and complain to my wife about the people at work, and then I go to work and maybe complain to one or two of them about my wife or one of my children, it's like first things first is that I'm complaining to people that can't do anything about what I'm complaining about, and I'm just spreading toxic information, like stuff people don't need to know or hear. I mean, yeah, the gossipers and all that, they thrive on that stuff. But you know what I mean? It's like, oh, okay, I then realize if I have a reference point if I'm going to complain. So stop your complaining and do something about it. And I'm not the person that can help you. You need to go directly to the source. You know what I mean? And then you won't find making excuses. They won't come up. And, I don't rationalize, justify. I mean, I'm human. I want to make excuses sometimes. I want to say, why did I put that on my calendar? I'm starting to rethink it. It's kind of hard. I want to do something, so let me figure out what's going to come up and take me off course.
Yeah. I'm sitting here thinking, excuses, like think about it like this. Excuses in terms of working out, because you mentioned working out in the beginning. For me, there's all kinds of reasons where I could say, oh, well, this came up, I couldn't get to the gym. This came up, I can't fit in my run. But excuses, this is what changed it for me. Excuses do not help me fit into my really cool new Spanx pants that I ordered. That was the other thing. I had to get sick and tired of being sick and tired of not fitting into the clothes I wanted to fit in the comfortable way that I wanted to wear them. COVID, I was in soccer shorts for 6-7 months on Zoom. But when I went back out into the real world and had to, put on jeans again, that's what happened to me. I was like, oh, there goes my schedule again. I don't have time to work out. And then I got sick and tired of the excuses that I was making were not helping me feel comfortable in the super cute jeans that I had. So I had to back up. So here's my point to this story for people that are just trying to get their head around this. What I did, and Charlie, you mentioned it in a few things in what you just talked about, I had to back up and say, like, take a step back and say, where can I take responsibility for how this went wrong, that I didn't get the workout in today? Okay, so I overloaded my morning because the day before I had way too many calls, and then I had to make up, do all this follow-up and all that. So I completely had zero control over my schedule. And then I started to do the complaining. Well, I have so much to do, and I'm trying to, do 3 college tuitions. I'm like, wait. I get to have 3 kids in college, right? So I had to change all that language and stop complaining, and then go back even further to, what do I have control over that I can take responsibility for? And the heart of most of my problems at that point were my schedule, not having full control over how I operate best, and sticking to it hard and fast. So now, and I only developed this over the summer. I started with one thing, Wednesdays, fully committed to no meetings on Wednesday, so I know how I operate. Monday and Tuesday, I load those days, and then I don't leave enough time to tie up loose ends or follow up. And there's always projects hanging that didn't get to be checked off on Monday, Tuesday. So I built in Wednesday to do the overlap of things that I didn't get done. So I'm not making excuses to people the rest of the week that I didn't get things done and don't get my workouts in and all that. So that's one thing that you can do, is take a look at what do you have control over, that, and then say no to things that aren't going to fuel your goals and get you to the finish lines of the things you're working on. So you're not overloaded and making excuses to people that mean a lot to you and projects that mean a lot to you. Just start throwing off the things that are getting in the way, or you don't really need to do. But I think, Charlie, your big thing there about the word complain, I think that's what that stalled me figuring this out until this summer, was because right when I would try to figure out, okay, what do I have control over, and I can stop making excuses. Oh, but I'm going to complain about these things that I have to do, instead of switching my mindset to, I get to do them, and there are things that I don't have to do, so I'm not going to do them anymore.
And you never did have to. Here's the deal. It's like, do you have some extra weight on your body? Do you have a muffin top? Do you wake up and say, I really want to do something about this? And you've been saying that for 3 years. But it's constant excuses that keep us away from stepping into what's possible, or just slowly over time changing a little each day to help you maybe shed some weight. Is there relationships that you want to maybe forgive or make some amends, or people, family that you want to do something about, but you keep making excuses? It's busy and I can't seem to get to it. So the number one thing, you could be physically fit, but you don't have a grasp of your mind, you don't have awareness, you don't have self-realization, then you're just physically fit, but you're a mess in a way. And maybe not a mess, you're functioning. You're running like you're in the rat race all day. And guess who wins the rat race? A rat. So, you never come out any better. I did more, I made more, I accomplished more, I checked more boxes. How's that working for you? I'm exhausted. I'm drinking more wine than I normally do. I'm eating crap because I don't have time. I don't have time to cook a nice meal. Please. That's a BS one. I'm running late. The stories that come out of people, and it's like, take a breath. Is your vibrational level, is where your thinking is and what you're giving attention to, because what we give attention to grows. So if we look at, God, what a bad day and what's not good in life, and that's kind of what we get presented with that day. But if you find, like, I have purposely, intentionally said, today I am only going to look, I go for a walk, I'm only going to notice the things that I appreciate. And, oh, that's a nice bush and that lawn, and this guy has great edging, and you know what I mean? I just walk through appreciation, and that's what helps shift the mind. And excuses, I rarely make them anymore. Rarely. And it didn't just happen because I heard Kristen and Charlie or Bob and Susan, you know what I mean. I didn't show up and look at one of these. I heard it. I said, "Oh, okay." Step one: take a look at this. Get honest. To thy own self be true. Am I happy, joyous, and free? Am I exactly where I want to be in life? Do I love what I'm doing? How I'm showing up when I come home from work? Am I following through on my spiritual, mental, and physical practices? Do I feel connected, usefully whole? Like life is really worth living? If that's not, maybe step back, like Kristen said. Okay, what can I do today?
Since I'm not racing around like a maniac anymore and late for things and driving my Jeep at a gajillion miles an hour to get places, I actually do that, Charlie. I look around now. I take everything in, especially this time of year in my town where it is gorgeous here in the fall. And I'm starting to notice, there's some tops of trees that are turning, and there's certain roads around here that are just, it's breathtaking to drive through here. But I notice every little thing. And actually, my Carissa said to me the other day, we were on this mega, meeting all these basketball teams as she's exploring her college career. And I said, Carissa, we're on the turnpike. And she's like, what's the matter? I said, take this and look at the mountains and and she was like, we've been looking at mountains for 5 days. I said, but this specific clearing and how far the mountains stretch and all that. And she was like, you do remember that I'm the one that can see, right? I can see this. You don't have to point it out to me. It's like, take it in though. Notice things. Like it's an incredible way to go through your day now, or me to go through my day without racing around from one thing to the next. Taking time to take things in, even just walking around. I now walk my dogs around my entire house. This has been a process with these dogs at this new house. I've been here for over a year to figure out how they're going to maximize their time outside, right? And get as least distracted so I can get on with my day. But I've doubled the amount of time I spend outside with my dogs now, because I'm taking in the space of where we live too. And I bring my cup of coffee. So I build in 20 to 25 minutes to be outside with them, drink a cup of coffee, let them, sniff and chase deer and do all of that, and not race from one thing to the other. But there was something I had to take off of my schedule in the mornings that was making me race around with these dogs and not appreciate any of that time outside. And I think the other thing, Charlie, that has really made me, I've tried to be as aware as possible now of when I'm feeling certain ways, when I'm happy, when I'm not happy. Like, I try to get really in tune with that. And what I've realized is I really take a lot of time now noticing and appreciating gorgeous days here in my town, because I know the cold winter is coming. And there's a lot of people, I'm going to be 51. So a lot of people in my age bracket that are, in my friends circles around here are all talking about whether, the big debate, are we moving to Florida full time, or are we staying up here in Bucks County? And I noticed, I said to them last week, I said, I know 100% right now that I would never want to be south full time. I absolutely love the change of season from spring to summer and summer to fall here in Bucks County. And I've made this life decision that I want to always be here for the change from summer to fall. But that came from me taking time and taking notice, because I built my schedule differently and go about my days in control of my time as opposed to having it control me. And really, I'm taking notice of the things that bring me joy in life. It's really has been a life-changing summer, just avoiding the pain of making excuses. How about that?
Well, you became present. You started looking around and saying, "Whoa, I've been missing a little here because I'm in my little world, which is always in the next world, always in the next task, always rushing to the next thing, and then when things don't work out, which they're already not, you're already behind. You're making excuses to yourself. You're saying them out loud in your head, and then you're telling others, oh, you know, those people that walk in, and it's like I can't stand it. I don't listen, I don't accept them, and I don't work with people that do that. As in, you know what I mean? Like, I don't make agreements with that type of mind. You know, it's just, well, obviously they're off course. They're blamer, complainers. And I know that course. I lived it. You know, I lived it. I know how I felt. I know the results I got in life. And I know what it's like. And you talk a lot about a calendar. Do you realize there's lot of people who do not use a calendar at all? They wake up and they say maybe the day before, oh, tomorrow I want to vacuum the house, whatever. You know what I mean? They kind of set their day up, but they're like a rudderless ship. They kind of get up. They didn't get up when. Do you ever go to bed and say, tomorrow I'm getting up at 5:30. I really want to get a jump on things. And that stupid noise device in your room goes off. And you go, oh, I did get to bed a little late. And my first thought was making excuses why it's okay for me to stay in bed a little longer. So to start my day with an instant, that's conditioning. That's where that had to stop for me. Don't say it the day before, because it's not going to help me unless I'm actually going to follow through. And so, but so I say I want to get up, no, and then I don't have anything. I don't have a calendar. So I kind of let life live me. I kind of go around like a rudderless ship all day long. And because people are always talking and getting in the way and traffic lights and slow lines, I build up tension all day long. And I'm an excuse making machine. I'm a blame thrower. I'm complaining. I'm one of those people that I'm exhausted at the end of the day thinking, gosh, this life thing is really hard. And you just shared what it actually is meant to be. You know, we're not on this planet to be miserable, depressed, full of self-pity, feeling bondage of self constantly. We're meant to be here to be happy and to be of use and have meaning and purpose in life. I mean, otherwise we might not be here. So I love that you brought it back to being present, seeing the forest through the trees, enjoying your day, because like you said, all that stuff doesn't crop up.
Yeah. And as we wrap up here, I think it's important for people that are watching and really taking this in. I want to make sure you understand that my schedule and my list of projects and things I'm involved in is bigger and more extensive than it has ever been in my entire life. This isn't like, oh, I'm just saying no to most projects and doing that one thing. You know, I have a lot of plates in the air and irons in the fire with work that I get to do that is absolutely extraordinary. So it's not that I only have a few things going on and I have time to take my dogs for a 20-minute walk. I literally am in control of my life, as opposed to what Charlie said, life living me. And the other thing I have to mention is there's not many things at the finish line yet that I'm working on. And there's not a lot of things in my personal life that are the way I absolutely am planning for them to be at some point. I'm still in the process of a lot of things. And still, I have just transformed the way that my brain operates and the stress level that I was living under by simply being present and taking control of my calendar and keeping agreements with myself this time as much as I do with other people, because I'm one of those people that I pride myself on keeping agreements with people, but I wasn't doing that for myself. And now I do. And just those little tweaks, which probably sound very small to people that really do things on a big level, I'm telling you, those little tweaks this summer have changed everything for me that I can go through present and happy, as opposed to running in a million directions, stressed out and irritated. Because that's not the fun bus, Kristen. I'm staying on the fun bus.
Yes, and I just want to throw, if you're raising blind children, a blind child, you have a relative, you have people in your life, you have a spouse, an adult, a partner, whatever the case may be, and they present you with excuses, don't allow it. Mm-mm. Don't accept it. But don't say, that's an excuse, Say, hey, is it possible we could take a look at this and we could work on a way to maybe so you do follow through, whatever it might be. Because, we want to meet them where they are and we want to help them and show them that this vision impairment isn't the reason. It was you didn't build a system, a process, ask for help. You didn't believe in yourself. You didn't take there's a chain of events and actions and things we need to do in order to be successful, to be complete things that we want to do in our life. And for vision impairment, sometimes there's a few more twists and turns to the journey, which makes it even more exciting.
Isn't that the truth? It is an exciting journey when no matter whatever you perceive as a really big challenge or barrier, when you start looking at it differently and taking control and eliminating these excuses and having your eyes focused through a different lens, you really do start to see things as exciting where you saw challenges before. Hey, listen, this has been a phenomenal chat, and I hope that it has really helped you sort through this whole, am I making excuses? Is the world really throwing barriers at me that they're not? Let me see how I can tweak a few things and change it up a bit. And if there's somebody that that can benefit from this conversation that we had, and this was a little bit longer of a dive into this topic, which was well worth it to uncover all the things that we did today. If you know somebody that it can be helpful for, please share this video with them. Or if you're in a community where this can be helpful, please share this video in that community and encourage people to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so that you know every time we put out a new video, which usually is weekly.
And hit the thumbs up if we earned it, because that helps the channel, that helps YouTube send us out to more people and helps us make a larger impact. So everybody that whacks that subscribe and that thumbs up button, it's, of course, we go, but that's not really it. It's helping the algorithm say, oh, people are liking this, they're sharing it, they're making comments, they're saying, oh, I don't make excuses. Well, you're not talking, whatever the case may be, that helps get the word out and serve more people.
And that's what we're here for, to be of service, to be the service that we were looking for all those years ago. So thanks for joining us and being a part of this channel and this community, and we'll see you next time.